female are less discussing before the webinar like men. We are still.
Well, they said that women
usually the
speak
are speaking more than men, but
yeah,
we are proving that this is not true.
Hi, Professor Bakhsi. Hi, Nabil.
Hi, how are you, Dr. Deltawi?
I'm fine.
Oh, thank you to be with us. I think that you, Dr. Amou and Professor Jmel are the three men in this webinar till now.
As always.
That's a pleasure. That's our pleasure.
Always remember, it's always, they are always with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
How
all right.
Jmel and Mr. Mufed, of course, he's
yeah.
Oh, there are another guy, Adel Abdel Malik. I think it's from Algeria. This name.
Oh yes, Adel Abdel Malik. Yes, I think he's still now in France because he's gone for a fellowship at Saint Anne.
Okay. Jamila is here also, but I
didn't see her.
No. No.
I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
How are you, Jamila?
Can you see your face, please? I miss you a lot.
since yesterday.
Muna, sorry. I thought that it was Jamila.
No, it's me. Jamila is here also. We can see.
Yes, this is why I am.
Her face. She's here.
Suad, can you let me know when we are starting? Just chat me when you guys are starting,
in
okay?
2 minutes. Nancy, I think you are here.
Yes, I am. Good morning, dears. Pleasure to be on stage.
Okay.
Hi, dear.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So, Najia, maybe we can start. Nabila, is everything okay? So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for Lynn, who is with us at 11 p.m. in Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a great pleasure and honor for the WIN-WFNS committee and the Algerian Society to have all these wonderful women during this webinar, and thank you for having accepted the invitation. We have tried to have women from several regions of the world to speak about the advances and the problems that are encountered by female neurosurgeons around the world. I just have to, without lasting, I will give the talk to the moderators, and I want to say that for this time I've chosen 2 generations to moderate this webinar. The pioneers, represented by Professor Naji El Abedi, and the young generation, the very active generation, represented by Teresa Soma from Italy. So I will present my friend, Professor Naji El Abedi. Most of you know her. She is professor in neurosurgery. She is head of department of neurosurgery at the Hospital Sheikh Zayed in Rabat, and also the chairman of surgery department at the University Abul Qasis. She is also director of the diploma of stereotactic surgery in Morocco. And she, of course, what is very important to mention is she is the first professor in neurosurgery, female professor neurosurgery in her country, and also in Africa. And she is also the first woman in Morocco and the only one that is head of department. She is currently the president of the Pan-Arabs Neurosurgical Society. She is assistant treasurer of WFNS and also treasurer of the Continental Association of African Neurosurgical Societies. And also she has been the last chairman of the WIN WFNS committee. And she is one of the women who are acting around the world for the promotion of women in neurosurgery. So Nejia, I give you the talk to moderate this session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, my dear friend Suad, for this kind word for me. And I am really delighted to be here today. And I would like to thanks and congratulate the Algerian Society and of course, especially Suad as the president of this society. And Nabila, she is here, she is your right hand. And I know she's very, very busy this time and she is with us today. Thank you, Nabila, for what you are doing for the Algerian Society. Thank you, Suad. And I think, as you said, Suad, we will moderate together today. I have the great pleasure and I'm really very delighted to moderate this webinar with our youngest colleague today, Teresa Soma. It had a great pleasure of meeting her. I remember in Nepal in 2018 during the Mediterranean Association of Neurological Surgeons meeting where she presented a wonderful talk and that I personally greatly appreciate and really she's a very active woman in Italy and younger among younger women in neurosurgery. She spent his residency in neurosurgery and graduate in Napoli and in 2016, and thereafter she worked as a research fellow in neurosurgery, and since I think 2017 she is a faculty neurosurgeon, and currently she is a student in PhD in neurosciences. Great, very great. Congratulations, Teresa. And of course, he's a member of several national and international societies, and she won many prizes and awards. And the last one from the Italian Society of Neurosurgery, it happened last year. And she is, of course, author of many publications and presentations. So thank you to be here with us, Teresa. So I will start this webinar by our first speaker. Allow me to, of course, introduce our first speaker. She's from USA, and Dr. Martina Stippler. Hi, how are you? And really, we are very happy to and glad to have you among us. I understand that you have a commitment just after your talk, so I will go faster but let me introduce you first. And the area of expertise of our friend Martina is the neurotrauma. She held major administrative leadership position as a director of neurotrauma in the University of New Mexico Health Sciences Center. She is now a clerkship director in Harvard Medical School. She is also chair of the TBI committee at the Bet Israel Deaconess Medical Center. She has been elected as the chair of website and publication committee of WNS CNS joint section of neurotrauma, and we know it's very hard to accede to this position in USA. And her editorial activity include publication in prestigious journals such as Neurosurgery, World of Neurosurgery, Journal of Neurosurgery, so on. She won numerous honors and prizes. Among these, we can cite the notorious Louise Eisenhardt is a resident travel scholarship. We know all of us that it's a great honor. So she lead many courses about the principle of neurotrauma care nationally and internationally, and she's often sought out by female colleagues and students and medical students. They look up to her and expect her to lead them toward an answer about whether it is possible to be a female surgeon and how to balance career with being a mother, wife, and neurosurgeon. Is definitely committed to being a role model. She shares these mentorship encounters and hopes to make a difference. So you will talk today about the history of the women in neurosurgery in USA, the WINS. Thank you to be with us, and go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this very nice introduction. I think it's a pleasure. It's always nice to have women neurosurgeons in one room, so to say. This, I think it's wonderful to do it even internationally. So I have about 15 minutes, and I will talk a little about the history of women in neurosurgery, and then maybe share some opportunities and similar webinars and things we do here at WINS, where there may be some collaboration between our societies could come from. So when you talk about the history of women in neurosurgery, it all started in 1919. That's when Harvey Cushing went up there and gave his talk about brain tumors. It's very, the moment of history, somebody got out of the audience and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, today a new specialty is born, neurosurgery." But you knew that Harvey Cushing could not have given this talk if he wouldn't have Louis Eisenhardt, who collected his specimen, did the pathological analysis, followed up, created a registry, followed up on the outcome of his patients, and really allowed him to present this data. So very early on in the birth of neurosurgery, women were involved. Louis Eisenhardt went on, then become a pathologist. She went to medical school, became a pathologist, was the first editor of the Journal of Neurosurgery, and then also the chair of the Senior Neurosurgical Society. So that was neurosurgery really started with a bang, with women involved right at the forefront, but then there was a big lapse. So if lapse, and if you really look when women neurosurgeon entered, let me tell you a little bit about the history there. So Dr. Ruth Jacobi was the first female board certified neurosurgeon, and that was in 1961. She later actually came on to be a lawyer and practice as a lawyer. Then we have John Weins, who became from 1935 to 2010. She was a pediatric neurosurgeon and kind of started that subspecialty in neurosurgery. And she was the first appointed professor in neurosurgery in the US at Michigan. In 1977, Dr. Frances Connolly became the first tenured professor in neurosurgery at Stanford. And what is very interesting, she became quite notorious because she wrote the book, Walking Out on the Boys, because she resigned her professorship because of sexual discrimination, in gender discrimination in her department. So these were the trailblazers, women in neurosurgery. There were a lot of other firsts. We have Dr. Alexander Candy, who was the first African-American neurosurgeon. And believe it or not, just 2 years ago, Dr. Odette Harris was the first African-American full professor, female full professor in neurosurgery. So how did WINS come around? We had this trailblazer woman. And I was told from one of the women who was part in about exactly 30 years ago, around this time, it was October 20th, around this time, women sat around at one of our Congress of Neurological Surgeons meeting and said, you know, there are 8 of us now. I think we should start our own group. And this is how Women in Neurosurgery got founded. Dr. Benzel was our first chair, and she said there were so few women in neurosurgery at that time that on the exhibit floor they had a map and they put a little pin wherever there was a woman neurosurgeon in the United States. Women in Neurosurgery since then has evolved, and we have about now 250 active members in Women in Neurosurgery. We carved out the niche of leadership and mentorship as our mission, because as so many said in this introduction, and what I hear over and over again, we need role models. We need to encourage our new generation of entering the field of neurosurgery. Is it easier than it was 50 years ago? Maybe a little bit, but I don't think much. We still need the leadership in our field. If you look at how many chairs there are in the United States, the first female chair was Dr. Karen Morasco in 2005, and she remained the sole female chair for a long time. Only in the last 3 years, we added 4 other chairs in neurosurgery. And I think this is a stark contrast to if you look how many females enter medical school. Here in the US, we have now almost 51% of female entering medical school. We have also, but in neurosurgery residency, it's only 16%. And if you look at female board certified neurosurgeon, we are just at 3%. So there's still, how we like to say, the leaky pipeline down the road where we lose female capital that could go on and to be a neurosurgeon. I think we need to, WINS needs to be in the forefront, and diversity, it's not just about women. I think diversity is very important, and WINS needs to be in the forefront, and you all doing this with being women neurosurgeon, encouraging the next generation of women to join us. I think what is very important, if we don't encourage women to join neurosurgery and become neurosurgeon, we lose 50% of the academic potential. We use 50% of the talent. I want to stop there with my talk. I want to really make this interactive and show you a little bit opportunities where we might could collaborate. And I'm going to put this in my chat here. Okay, so the first link I'm going to put in the chat, and you might visit that webpage. I just put it in the link to everyone. There is a journal of the AANS. It's called the Neurosurgery Focus, and they always choose a topic and they request submissions. And the topic for March 21 is International Women Leaders in Neurosurgery, Past, Present, or Future. And I could not imagine a better venue than put this blog out there for you guys to either collaborate with WINS or with your own, or whoever organized this webinar right now. I would encourage you to write this up, what we're just doing right now, and the collaboration. I also want to share with you a registration link to our celebration. So yes, with COVID, our life got turned upside down, but how has it would have been possible for me to talk to you and us all get together on a Saturday morning? So WINS is holding virtual cocktail hour to celebrate our 30th anniversary. I just sent you a link to that, and it's free. We're going to have a mixologist, so we're going to mix our own drink, and we will have a little video, and we're just going to socialize and celebrate women in neurosurgery. So I really would love for you to join us. There's another idea I would like to share with you, that we can keep this collaboration ongoing. And this is a speaker series that WINS is co-hosting. It's Women in Neurosurgery. It's open for medical students, for nurses in neurosurgery, but it's really for women, for and by women neurosurgeons. So I would ask you if you would like to speak at that, if you want to be one of our guest professors for that speaker series, please put your name in the chat. Also going to put my email address there right now. You can email me. We always looking for people to speak at that. So this is a little bit ideas of collaboration for us moving forward. And I'm going to stop right there. If there are any questions for me right now, I will leave this up to the moderator, how we are doing this, if we're doing this now or at the end. But thank you so much for inviting me, and excited to be part of the group.
Thank you, dear Martina, but I don't know if you have to leave now, or we can, if you don't leave immediately, we can let all the question in the end. It's possible for you or not?
Yeah, that works. Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much for this very informative speech. And of course, I remember Professor Spitzel, where he wrote his paper about the white paper of a female neurosurgeon. So it's one of my favorite paper from men to women, because it's a testimony to women in neurosurgery. And it's I totally agree with you about the number of the female who choose neurosurgery. For example, in North Africa, it's we have more than 60% in as a medical student, but only I think it's less than 3 or 4% are embracing the neurosurgery career. So, without delay, I will move to the next speaker. Our next speaker is my dear Lynn. It's my pleasure to introduce you today. And Lynn Lourdes is from Philippines, as you know, all of you. She's from the Nellie Kellogg One Chirac Scholar at University of the Philippines. She had a recipient of Golden Scalpel Award of Neurosurgery, serving Bicol region. I don't know where is it, Bicol region. Maybe in the future we will invite us to visit it. I just looking in Google, but I don't know very now the Philippines. So I'm sure that it's very nice, a beautiful place. And she is also the secretary of the board of directors and of the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons. Dr. Lynn has given many international talks as faculty and speaker, including, I remember very well the session Women in Neurosurgery during the WFNS World Congress in Istanbul. Remember that? And it's the first. Yes. The first session of the WFNS WIN committee in Istanbul in Turkish, as well as the ICRAN WFNS International Conference in Peshawar last year. And recipient of 2016, the Greg Wilkins Barrick Chair Visiting International Surgeon Award given by the American Association of Neurological Surgeons and the WINS. This is a great honor, as we know, all of us. She is a member of WFNS WHO Liaison Committee on Global Neurosurgery with our friend Gail Russo, and author of Task Sharing Model addressing the scarcity of neurosurgeon in the Bicol region. I'm really very passionate by this region. I hope that we can visit it one day. And they published it in the World Neuro Federation in the news in the newsletter in 2018. So, as well as a member of section of Women in Neurosurgery in the section of Asian Congress of Neurological Surgeons. She's a really very talented poet. I discovered that yesterday, and I was very, very happy. She published a collection of poems in 2018, and we hope that you can share some verses with us today. So I will give you the talk, and you will speak, of course, of women neurosurgeon, the status in Filipinos, and I hope that you give us some verses of poem. Please, Lynn, go on. Lynn?
Thank you so much, Nadia. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And first of all, Bicol region is south of Luzon. It's around 45 minutes by plane from Metro Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines.
Yeah.
So can I share my screen now?
Yes.
Nabila, is it okay? Yes.
Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yes, it's begun.
Yeah, here.
I think.
Okay, so is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, so okay, the Philippines actually has 300,000 square kilometers in area. The population is right now is 109.78 million. We are 7,107.
Sorry, Lynn, you can put
7,000.
You can put your slide full screen, diaporama.
You cannot see it?
You
Can you see it?
come on, if you
Can you see the slide?
Yes, we see it, but we need, maybe you can put them in full screen, please.
Okay, wait, view. Okay. Here.
Yes.
Is it okay now?
Perfect.
Okay. So the Philippines is 109.78 million people on a 300,000 square kilometer area. We are divided into around 7,107 islands, whether, you know, if it's high tide or low tide can decrease, you know. And then 3 main divisions. There's Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Bicol region, where I practice, is in Luzon. It's one of the large cluster of islands, which Metro Manila also is in. And we are south of Luzon. The capital is Metro Manila, which is 12.87 million in population with 619.6 square kilometers. Okay, so here are some pictures. The one with the volcano is the place where I stay. I don't stay really near, but it's really very visible near my house, the volcano. Okay, so Philippines, if you guys come to visit, we have the beach, we have mountains, we have the blue sky. So there's only 2 kinds of weather. It's rainy or more rain. No, I'm sorry. It's rainy or hot. It's hot or rainy. So this is the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons geographic distribution of the fellows. The fellows of the Academy are the ones who are board certified and have already been members of the association. Okay, so Philippine Neurosurgery right now is a 6-year program with 1 year of general surgery and 5 years of neurosurgery. Right now, we have 10 training institutions. And the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeon Fellows, 40% are actually in Metro Manila, where 8 over 10 of the training institutions are located for the population of 12 million. The training institutions right now are equipped with CT scan, MRI, angiography, microscope, etc. However, 60% of the fellows are still distributed for the 86 million Filipinos. And cases are distributed as government, or public, and neurotrauma. 50 to 60% comprises the cases in the government or public hospitals, where private, the vascular, the spine, and the tumors are mostly there. So 135 fellows for 109.78 million Filipinos. These are the distribution of the fellows. We have specializations like endovascular, pediatric, spine, and there are 3 regional chapters right now. We produce 8 to 10 graduates per year. So here is a picture of the academy in one of our annual meetings. And here are the Filipino neurosurgeons. We are actually 13 who are diplomates and fellows of the academy. And I think I saw one watching, Dr. Khalil Ibao. Hello. And on the picture here, we have Professor Yoko Kato as one of our guests in 2018. And here in another picture, Professor Yoko Kato and also the first Filipina neurosurgeon, Dr. Camelia Pusungkoy, is with me. So Philippine neurosurgery actually started in 1951 with the first established section of neurosurgery at the University of Santo Tomas Hospital. It was headed by Dr. Romeo Gustilo, one of the pioneers. And in 1952, the Division of Neurosurgery at the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, under Dr. Victor Reyes was also established. Based on the researches, Philippines is the first country in Southeast Asia to have a neurosurgery service. It was in the UPPGH section of neurosurgery that the first Filipino neurosurgeon came home from training abroad to teach without compensation and become involved both in the basic and clinical sciences. Okay, so the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons was not the name before. The society used to be named Philippine Society of Neurological Surgeons, and it was established in 1961. And the Philippine Board of Neurological Surgery was actually started in 1975 with Dr. Romeo Gustilo as the chairman and Dr. Victor Reyes and Dr. Renato Sibayan are the members. And PGH, as I mentioned, was the first training program in 1976. Okay, so Dr. Camelia Josefina Nieras Pusungkoy is the first Filipina neurosurgeon. But she was actually trained abroad in Basel. For a while, she was in Israel. And then when war broke out there, she transferred to Basel and also had a short stint with Professor Yasser Gil. So after her specialty training in neurosurgery, she came back to teach at UPPGH. I'm proud to tell everyone that she's my mentor also. She's the first woman chair of the Philippine Board of Neurosurgery, the first woman chief of neurosurgery, and the first woman neurosurgeon to become a fellow of the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons. The second woman neurosurgeon, she is the one who was trained locally, is Dr. Angelita Tangco. She graduated in 1985 from the UPPGH. However, she immigrated to the United States and is there right now as a neurologist. Then another trailblazer is the first graduate, and I think the only woman graduate of the University of Santo Tomas, Dr. Maria Lourdes Domingo Maglinaw, who was the chief of neurosurgery from UST from 2005 to present. She's also the first woman neurosurgeon to become a dean of the University of Santo Tomas of Medicine and Surgery from 2017 to the present. And she is one of the first women neurosurgeons locally trained in Asia. She's also the first woman president of the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons from 2007 to 2008. Then we have Dr. Annabel Chua. She was the chair of the section of neurosurgery of UPPGH from 2016 to 2018. And she was a first batch of the University of the Philippines 7-year program. She had her neurotrauma and epilepsy surgery fellowship in the US. She's presently an active consultant in the UPPGH neurosurgery training program. So women neurosurgeons in medical leadership outside neurosurgery, yours truly, became the second woman chair of the Philippine Board of Neurosurgery. And we worked on the revision of the Philippine Neurosurgery training curriculum. I was also president of the Philippine College of Surgeons, BICO chapter, and the secretary of the Board of Governors. As was mentioned by Nadia, I was the Visiting International Surgeons Awardee last 2016, and I was privileged to be there and also able to meet people from the WINS and AANS. And the other neurosurgeons I will mention, Dr. Ibet Marisi is a WFNS Spine Committee member, and she has published a lot of researches of which she is both co-author and author. And she's also spine committee textbook on thoracic spine, in which she was main author of one of those segments. Okay, and also she became the training officer of PGH training program, and right now she is the program director of the St. Luke's Medical Center training program of neurosurgery. Other women neurosurgeons, there's Dr. Maria Lourdes Gutierrez. She's presently the treasurer of the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons. Then Kathleen Joy Koo is the member of the WFNS Oncology Committee with subspecialization surgical neuro-oncology. She's presently the training officer of neurosurgery in UPPGH. And Kay Puquinto Jimenez is presently the chief of clinics at Dagupan Doctors Hospital. She's also doing her MBA in health in Ateneo's Graduate School of Business. And Dr. Khalil Ibaok is the present medical director of United Shalom Medical Center Incorporated in Tacloban. And she's undergoing master's in hospital administration. Other women neurosurgeons are Abigail Javier Lisan, who specialized in brain mapping. There's Annabel Arcade. She's the head in East Avenue Medical Center. Dr. Vilma Yakapin, Dr. Natalie Lee, and Dr. Kristen Florendo Dalisay are all practicing in different parts of the Philippines. They are not actually in, except Dr. Annabel Arcade, she's actually in Manila also, but Dr. Vilma Yakapin, Dr. Nats Lee, and Dr. Kristen Florendo Dalisay are distributed in other provinces. So what is there for us in neurosurgery as women neurosurgeons? I think we need to empower more women to become neurosurgeons. We need to welcome more of them and encourage them to join us in the ranks. Right now, we are 13 out of 135. That's like 10% of the neurosurgeons in the Philippines. And also, most of the specialists are still the male neurosurgeons. We are looking forward to cooperating more with the women in neurosurgery and also establishing our own chapter here in the Philippines. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be here with you all.
Thank you, Lynn, for this wonderful talk, and very happy to know that female women in neurosurgery in Philippines start early in this century, and to be numerous in the great level in academic situation. Thank you so much. So maybe if our chairman allowed me to move to the next speaker.
Yes.
All the questions in the end as I.
Yes, you are the chief here. You are the moderator, so you decide, Nejia.
So I will introduce the third speaker, but the two oldest speakers will introduce by my friend Teresa. Teresa, are you ready after me? Okay, so I will start by introducing our friend from Ukraine. It's Dr. Litvak Svetlana. Sorry, it's a.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Welcome, and thank you to be with us today. So Dr. Litvak Svetlana, after graduating from National Medical Bogomolsk University, she has received by a competition position of neurosurgeon at Institute of Neurosurgery Romanov. And for the period between 2001-2006, she has been working as a neurosurgeon in the following department of Institute of Neurosurgery Romanov, and skull-based department, in pediatric, spine, functional, and finally she decided to be cerebrovascular, and she installed in department where she is working till now. Congratulations, you know that vascular is more male than female, you know it's testosterone put the man to go to the vascular neurosurgeon. So vascular neurosurgeon in female is very rare. So Since 2001, she worked as neurosurgeon of cerebrovascular specialization, clipping of arterial aneurysm, removal AVM, but with a wide experience of doing cerebroangiography and endovascular procedure. Is congratulating for this position to be a hybrid vascular doctors, because you are neurosurgeon and endovascular doctors. Since 2018, she has you worked as head of a neurosurgical stroke center. Is the first institute of neurosurgery in Ukraine, and currently you are teaching interns, graduate students, and neurosurgeon on specialization and surgical vascular neurosurgery. Since 2005, you have been working as a scientific researcher, and since 2009, you took the responsibility of the executor of the scientific research. Congratulations for this amazing curriculum. And you are author of more than 50 scientific publications and over 80 presentation. And thank you for being with us today. And you will talk about the problem of development of women doctors in the Ukrainian medical community. Thank you, and you go ahead.
Thank you very much for great presentation. For me, I am very happy to be one of us, and I want to demonstrate some information first about my country, and I want to introduce my country, and after that I will talk about problem, or special problem, how to become a neurosurgeon in my country. Firstly, Ukraine long time was a part of USSR. Of course, it was just a moment. Okay, you can see Ukrainian was the part of USSR. USSR, it's not a great period from Ukraine, because Ukrainian people really has bad political view for USSR. And you can see, firstly, it was our population was decreased, firstly because that was time where the USSR became to be together with Ukraine. Ukrainian people was unlike about that. This was war in that period. Second period, it was a period when the Ukrainian people was killed by USSR, and that period is critical period. In that period, women decrease in Ukraine and men population go low. After that, we have another problem, second war, and Ukrainian population decreased again. And the end of USSR period, it was a Chernobyl problem, and it was in Ukrainian territory. And you can see a period when the death rate and birth rate, and after USSR period, all time and now it's same problem. Ukrainian people decrease deaths more like births. Of course, you can see we are aging population in Ukraine, and it's women's country now, because mostly population in Ukraine is women. But what's the structure, demographic structure in Ukraine? You can see the mostly is female. And what we can see in our public government. In public government, we don't have women, because 3 very hard period of Ukraine, all problems have to prepare by women's health. All family care by women. Women have to work in family, have to find the money, and of course they cannot find the time to became to be a good career and good salary. And it was 70 years all period by USSR. Women stay at home, work for very, very low salary and looking for a family. Now Ukrainian rebuilt our country, and we want to change something about that. We have a different part and districts and big towns. After USSR period, mostly people live in big city. Before USSR was an agriculture country, it had another problem. Language and nationalities in Ukraine, mostly in Ukraine live Ukrainian people. Now we have a big problem with Russia, and now we stay in war with Russia, and of course we lost man population of that problem. Another problem is religion. Long period USSR was period for any religion. All religion was illegal in USSR, but people stay believe, and Orthodox Church religion, Ukrainian Orthodox Church religion, think that women have stayed at home and looking only for a child or a family. And this is like hard for Ukrainian people. And now it's really difficult to change the meaning a career salary, because stereotypically things that women stay at home or do some adapted near the family profession, like a cooking or maybe teaching another a child, but not became to be a politic, or maybe not became to be a doctor. Another problems is urbanization. A lot of women involved on that process and work on the fabric or something else, and don't have a lot of money to have a good university, a good high quality of teaching, or maybe learning abroad and stay at home and work near the home. Ecological problem is second problem, because we have a big territory who was involved on radiation problem after Chernobyl. And after that period, we have a big rare of oncology problem and IBM problems. Rate of that disorders very high, and human health effects no good in our country. Another problem is problem for style of life. A lot of people, mostly of them, have had high blood pressure, smoking, have another problem, some problems for alcohol. Diabetes is second problem for Ukrainian population. Cardiovascular deaths and cardiovascular problems is the first in my country. Second is oncology problems in my country. After Chernobyl tragedy, we has a little bit another rate of disorders like a European country, and we have a lot of problems with leukemia in children and adults. Of course, we have another proportion of disease from male and female, but mostly we can see the cerebrovascular problems is first problems. In Ukraine, malformation from children is the first problems of disease. What about the health care system in Ukraine? We have a health care system in Ukraine like in USSR, but now it's changing, but not a lot. Ministry of Health is the first and general point of health care system in Ukraine. Of course, after that, we have a National Academy of Medical Science in Ukraine, and we have some local government point in our districts, and they have our budget and can involve some medical hospitals in ministry health program. We have some services. We have nursing services, services of medication, drugs control, and other services who control medical care in Ukraine. High medical education institution. We have near 16, but now we have some problems for COVID, and our system of medical university needs to control education, and distance education by internet or Zoom is not enough, and some university cannot change the system of education and closed. How to become a neurosurgeon in Ukraine? First, it's school. I am not a neurosurgeon only. I am a mother. I'm married and have daughter and son. And first school, 11 years. And first problem in the school, of course, if you want to be a doctor, you have to take exam to go to the university. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology. If the women or girls have some problems with mathematics, a lot of teach said, okay, use women first. You don't need know a lot of mathematics or other disciplines. And it's demotivated. Girls don't know about surgeon, don't know about profession. Typical, we have in our population typical women profession, typical men, and it's very sad, but a surgeon thinks that typical man profession, and first maybe it's very talented girl, but 11 years she listen, you cannot be mathematics, you cannot be physics, you cannot be a doctor because you women first. It's first problem. Second problem is medical school in university. Mostly in medical school we have women by students, maybe 60%. One of the reasons because in USSR medical profession don't have a big salary, and in this profession enrolled women because they stay near the home, they don't go to the high level on the public administration, and mostly they move to family doctor after they graduated. And all period where the students learn medical discipline, they listen second, meaning how to be a doctor after medical university. They can listen, okay, you be a doctor, but you have to be near the family. Don't move to the surgery because you need to do career, you need to move abroad, you need to learn alone. Surgery not for a woman. Second step by to learning how to be a neurosurgeon. After medical school, if some students strongly believe that they want to be a neurosurgeon, they go to the residency. In neurosurgery residency, it's near the 3 years, and I be honest, of course, neurosurgery society is Ukraine very open and don't discriminate the women, but part of that residency is general surgery near 6 months. If some women move to that step, they firstly they need to say stop bisexual harassment. It's true. It's honestly in Ukraine, it's typical. Second, they think if you choose the surgery, you never be a good mother. You never have a good family. I don't know why, but it's stereotypic. It's improved for the medical students. After residency, if 5 women come to the residency, of end of that, if the 3 women stay as a neurosurgeon, it's a really good result. I worked near 20 years and I saw that a lot of time. If the women stay to be a neurosurgeon, after that, life more better, because in Ukraine, we don't have a lot of neurosurgeons. We really need to new hands. We really need to new doctors, because we don't have enough neurosurgeons for our population. And after that, Ukrainian society, if you want to be the chief of department, of course, you have to involve to the some of the scientific program. It's doctorate program. I by myself, I finished PhD program, and now I am of the finish of doctorate program. Some of them moved to the teaching program in medical school. They could to prepare scientific program and don't treat the patient, because in my country, if you want to treat the patient and do operation, every 5 years you could to take exam. If you want to be a neurosurgeon by scientist, you don't need the special professional exam. You can take prepare the paper and treat. I work in the National Academy of Medical Science in Ukraine, in Institute and Neurosurgery Institute, and in our institution we have a biggest center where we can do IVM. Now we try to change the situation, and maybe in second year we have more center who could do that operation, but his mostly operation of the pathology prepared in our institute by in Ukrainian in all Ukraine we have not more like 20 neurosurgeons, and 7 of them work in our institution. 7 a big department. And
What happened?
I
I
think,
don't know, maybe something for internet.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I will show you
Yeah.
again. In our institution, we have 7 big departments and special training, special only in our institution. We need to work by 1 year in our department. And I dream to work in vascular department, but I need to work for all of them departments. It's part of the training course, and 7 years all neurosurgeon who wants to work in our it's not only me, all neurosurgeon equipment. In my country, endovascular and open surgery, it's together. We don't have a profession like in a neurosurgeon in Ukraine have to do endovascular procedure because only endovascular without open surgery is illegal in Ukraine. It's not only my choice, it's a rule in my country. Are you listening me?
Now, a little bit. The connection is not so good, Svetlana.
Now?
Yes, yes, we hear you now. We hear you.
Okay. And our institution, all of doctors who want to work in our institution have to prepare some scientific research, because we not only a hospital, we a big scientific center in my institution, and have to publish some of results. And now in Ukraine we have not so good situation. Only 41 win, but really open surgery, and to do surgery, 20 neurosurgeon women to do that. Only 20. And I want to change something. And in this year, I feel a win, because in this year, we find 7 girls who come to internship in our institution as the biggest for 10 years. We never see 7 women in one group. And I really believe that we can to change something. And for my opinion, firstly, we have to change the social view about that, because social view that women cannot be a surgeon because the religion, because it's tradition. I want to change that and want to demonstrate, if you be a neurosurgeon, of course you can be a good mother, you can find your family. And I think it's the first problem. Second problem, it's a men view about that, because a lot of men think that women will be no good a surgeon after training. I don't know why they think that, but it's a really strongly stereotypically view, and I want to change that. Conclusion, I think if we can change that, of course, by industry, because if we involve in Ministry of Health more women, I think a lot of part of medicines will be changing. Thank you very much about your attention. Sorry about emotional and for bad connection. Thank you very much.
Okay. Are you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. It's a really very nice talk and very informative, and we learn a lot about Ukraine, and how do you teaching your resident and your medical student, and especially resident neurosurgery, and the difficulties that you have to not only for women but for all the neurosurgeon in your country.
For all of them, yes, of course.
Sure. Thank you so much. So Teresa, you are here.
Yes,
and I'm happy to meet you again, and you have the honor to introduce the two
yes,
other speakers.
other speakers.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening to everybody, and I'm very honored to be here near this woman that represent not only an example of a medical doctor and a neurosurgeon, but above all, a realistic quantic jump in the modern history of women in neurosurgery. And this is very important for young neurosurgeon, because we always feel a tension between women that can have it all movement and the realistic view of us as employer, as a leader, as mother, or as a partner. So I have to thank you for what you did in this year and for the example that you give us. And now I can wait for listening the next lecture. So I want to introduce Professor Nelsie Zenon with great pleasure. She is a pediatric neurosurgeon. She is a chair of Women Neurosurgery in Brazil and a president of neurosurgery committee of WFNS. And she is speaking about WIN in Latin America in 2020, focusing on the impact of the career. So, please, Zenon, please.
Thank you, Teresa. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Soad and Nadia. It's a great pleasure to be with you all on this morning for me. I try to share my screen. It's quite okay for you at the moment? Or no, just to see?
Yeah, no, yes.
Yeah, it's okay? Great. Okay. Thank you very much for the kind invitation, Soad. It is really a great pleasure to share again the stage with you. And I will talk something about Latin American women neurosurgery, no disclosure on this talk. And first of all, my gratitude to the pioneers, Yoko Kato, Ling Feng, Gail, and Soad and El Abadi, you are with us and keep inspiring us to keep working and doing very well. We met sometime together in Italy in 2014 and also in Istanbul in 2017. But Latin America, we need to talk about Graziella Zuccaro, is academical leader in our continent and very tough neurosurgeons in the last decades. She was the first president of the International Society of Pediatric Neurosurgery in 2017. This Pediatric Neurosurgical Society was created in 1972, and she was the first president. Latin America is Portuguese and Spanish spoken, some French also. We have 20 countries and 14 dependent territories. And most of the population together is more than 6,000 million inhabitants. And we are a low and middle income country. Our economy gets informality in several countries until now. And about the universal worker, the women worker in the healthcare system. 80% of the healthcare system workers are women in this pandemic COVID-19, and still having more activity at home, 80,000 more than men, even on this time. Our population, we see here, if we compare 10 years, we have more adult population that are increased after 20 years and less population increasing below 20 years. And the maternity in this continent became later on. After 30 years is the marriage in the majority of the cases. Maybe we can explain why we have less natality in these 10 years. And our previous speakers talk already how we can deal with all these function and also be a neurosurgeon. It's possible, it's hard. Just an example, in our women committee in Brazil, we start our department in 2016, and Gay Rousseau was our invited speaker. Is all the women neurosurgeon in Brazil, residents, academics, and also senior neurosurgeons. 2 years later, we met together in the same organization with Soad, our invited speaker, in Porto Alegre in the south of Brazil. How we communicate each other on these times. We create a WhatsApp group in 2014. The department was in 2014, and we became permanent commission in 2017. The good news, we have 82 neurosurgical training centers. We are a continental country in Brazil. And between these 82 neurosurgical training centers to be a neurosurgeon is 5 years training program. 2 chair of this neurosurgical department are women. And in total, we are more than 2,500 neurosurgeons and more than 250 women in neurosurgery at the moment. And how we communicate each other is principally by WhatsApp. We created the first group in 2015 with 256 members, and the second group with 65. Now we are more than 300 in the group. The language on this group is Portuguese. And we just do a survey on this group to know how it's going on this pandemic period. The most answers came from surgeons, from senior surgeons, the majority of the answers. And we see here decrease the number of the surgery. It was the most common answer, and increase domestic work, even for the women in neurosurgery. And what was the cause for increased domestic work in this moment? Dismissed the employee was the first, and children at home, because the schools still closed for since March. It's a long period. And if we are now doing remote work, home office, majority of them is volunteer work, and the same proportion are not working online at this moment. On this pandemic period, we are probably going to the third wave, going to the interruption of the care from chronic disease. We may need to have more work in the next time. And for the low and middle income country, we just increased the difference that were in place already before. And probably the health system is under resources, and we need to do our best to try to decrease these inequalities in the health system. And how the economical affect these women in neurosurgery in this period. Fortunately, we don't have too much change. If we consider increased income, decreased income, and stable, is more or less stable, the situation, at least increase work at home, but not decrease the total income for this family in this period. And just to see the difference, we usually met the leaders and the young leaders face to face, and now we are dealing with this new possibility, the online platform. Just to give you an idea, usually we have the 100 people maybe at the maximum to meet together on these meetings. And now the medical students got a few weeks ago 5,000 registration leading by medical students, and most of the leaders of this medical student group are women, is a very good news for the future, I think. And recently was created the Latin American group on women in neurosurgery. It's a beginning, but it's a good news too. What the impact on the training neurosurgeon on this period? We got a cancellation of our routine, no more elective surgery, and maybe how many more time will you still on this situation? We just start open doors now for our outpatient clinics, and elective surgery must still not even though 50% work. But online activity, we have a lot. But my question is, it's enough for training neurosurgeons? Probably not. The good news, we got the introduction for our first speaker already, is the great opportunity to women to show up for the next very special focus wing in neurosurgery. The deadline will be November 1st. You have some time to work. We are working in the Latin American group leading by Gay Rousseau. I learned a lot with this group working online. The first thing I learned, it was put together in the same platform, in the same meeting, the same work, senior, junior, and residents and academic or medical students. We can work better and do our work very well. And about the neurosurgical training, probably we need to think about how we can decrease the learning curve, probably with simulators. We are just restarting our elective surgery with planning craniofacial surgery with plastic surgeons, and our medical students just coming in the group recently. Women in neurosurgery bring humanity improvement, sure, with our resilience and maybe our empathy, and try to work for a better equity in the future. And take home message, maybe we need to work also with the government, the police force, try to reallocate the economic source. We have the information, we know what need to be done, but we are not in the leadership in the economical and political issue at the moment. Probably will be our next step to try to help to change this world really in the close future. How it was 2020 planet and how it's happened. I think the flexibility we need to have to survive and to work and to build the new generation and to mentoring is one of our capacity need to be improved. My mentor is Professor Maurice Schooks, and I'm grateful for his mentoring since today. And thank you very much for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor. I have a question for you. During the pandemic of COVID-19, did you see any difference between women and men in neurosurgery in taking on the disease, in medical treatment, in the family? There are some difference in the men and women in neurosurgery or not?
Thank you for your questions. We don't perceive the difference in the women in neurosurgery, but beside women in neurosurgery, I'm working in a medical group, women in a medical group. We can't explain why 80% of the workforce in the front line are women, but the men are more deaf than women. We maybe can't find the answer on the future, if they expose too much or if we take care more. We don't have this answer, but the elderly people are most attached to death. and the men are more death than women in this group, but we don't have number, especially in neurosurgical field.
Okay, okay. Thank you for your presentation. Really nice presentation, very clear.
Teresa, may just
Yes.
add something. I would like to pay tribute to our great friend Nelsie for the great effort that she done the last years about promoting a woman in neurosurgery around the world, and she created the group WhatsApp wing and the second wing, not only in Brazil but around the world. And of course, she's always attending all the activities of the women neurosurgery. She was also one of the vice chairman with in the same time with me of the WFNS WIN committee. But just I would like to, it would be more complete for her, just enough. She's really one of the leaders of women in women neurosurgery around the world. Thank you, Nelsie, for this.
Thank you very much for your kind words.
For giving us this problematic with this health crisis of COVID-19. Thank you. So please, Teresa, sorry to interrupt you.
No. Thank you. So with great emotion and great, I introduce Professor Suad Bhatti. I met her at MANS Congress in Naples 2 years ago, and I immediately see her beautiful smile and felt her great soul, her enthusiasm for the condition of women in neurosurgery, and also the passion for our discipline. She is a president of Algérienne Society of Neurosurgery and second vice president of Continental Association of African Neurosurgical Society, and she is chairman of WINS WFNS Commit and head of Department of Neurosurgery. She is speaking about the next step of WIN in Algeria, and Professor Suad, please start with the presentation.
Thank you, Teresa, for these kind words. Thank you. So I will screen. Okay. I have. Alors, partager. I have some. Oh my God.
Maybe Nabila, you can help.
No, she can't help me because.
Non, d'accord, éteignez, fermez cette fenêtre.
Laquelle? Celle-ci?
Oui.
Ok.
Non, la fenêtre, la zoom.
Ah oui, très bien.
Ouais.
Mais comment je fais? Je la ferme, attends.
On repartait en arrière.
Oui, ok. Comme ça?
Repartager l'écran.
Ça y est. Oh my God.
On a tout notre temps, hein, Suède.
Oui, mais le problème, il faut...
It's okay. I think...
Non.
Votre communication.
Elle est là, elle est sur mon ordinateur.
Éteignez les autres fenêtres. Il faut toutes les fermer. Et ne garder que la communication.
Ben, c'est tout ce qu'il y a. Il y a juste Zoom là.
Il faut ouvrir la communication alors. Quand vous faites le partage d'écran, vous avez plusieurs fenêtres et vous choisissez là où c'est.
Ben, justement, le problème, il est là. c'est qu'elle ne sort pas. C'est pas possible.
Vous avez éteigné les autres fenêtres? Vous avez fermé les autres fenêtres?
Ah voilà, ça y est.
OK?
OK. Voilà.
Wow, excellent.
Voilà. So again, thank you to all the speakers and the moderators for having accepted this invitation. And I must say that for a long time, we used to do WIN sessions, scientific WIN sessions, because all WIN in the world asked us for this. But I thought with some members of the committee that it was the time also to redo some sessions about women in neurosurgery in general. And so we have chosen this topic about current status. And I want to thank all the speakers. They all gave wonderful talks. So I will try to talk about Algerian women in neurosurgery. And many of you know that we have a quite good rate of female neurosurgeon in our country, but we have to think about the next step for women in neurosurgery in our country. First of all, I just want to present my country. It's a huge country in North Africa with 44 million inhabitants, and we have 3 languages, Arabic, Tamazight, and French. And we belong to a particular region, which is called the Maghreb, which is Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. And this is really a particular area because it's quite the same people with quite same traditions, languages, also foods. And this is very particular in North Africa. For the free healthcare system, the free healthcare is free in our country. So just a history, words of history of neurosurgery in our country. Before independence, the first division of neurosurgery was in Algiers. And there were treated all the injured of the Second World War in North Africa. And this division was led by Pierre Cognat, who was a French neurosurgeon. And so there was also a department at this time, but at the independence, there was nothing in 1962. Most of the French doctors and nurses left the country, and the situation was critical. So the Ministry of Health called for foreign universities to recruit specialists in the field, in different fields. But unfortunately, at this time, neurosurgery was not a priority. The first Algerian neurosurgeons who returned in his country was Professor Mohamed Abada after his training in Colmar, and he visited also United States to see how was the practice of neurosurgery. And just after that, he was joined by several neurosurgeons, among them with French and Italians, among them also an Algerian who was Dr. Abdel Moumen. And very few later after, Professor Ahmed Boussalah joined him. This team worked first in the hospital Red Cross and moved after to Mustafa Pasha Hospital and was dealing mainly with injured patients with trauma. And the number of patients in neurosurgery increases. So there was the creation of the Department of Neurosurgery in the Red Cross Hospital, renamed Specialized Hospital Al-Tidir. So here are some pictures. The Red Cross Hospital, where I'm working now, renamed Ali Al-Tidir, and the team with Professor Boussalah and others in Mustafa Pasha. So here are the two fathers of Algerian neurosurgery. As I said, Professor Mohamed Abada, who is still alive, and Professor Ahmed Bousalah. Unfortunately, he left us very soon in 2000. And I want to mention that the first resident trained in Algeria was Professor Mohamed Jannez, and it was in 1971. I'm proud to be one of his trainees, and I must say I stay in his department till I became head of department. We will talk about the first in women in Algeria. The first resident in Algeria was Professor Faiza Lalam, and she began her training in 1977, and not so far from the first man resident. She make training in Hospital Mustafa Pasha and also in Hospital Ali Aitidir. And she began her activity in Tizi Ouzou, which is a town at 100 kilometers at the east of Algiers. And at this time, there was no department of neurosurgery, and neurosurgery was coupled with orthopedy. And she had to deal at this time mainly with trauma. In 1989, there was the creation of the Department of Neurosurgery. She, in spite of very, very important familial problems, she became professor in neurosurgery in 2011 and head of department in 2012. And after her, the path was open to other women and come a lot of women such as Professor Gerbas, we will talk about her, Bouadda, Hafsa Qara, and so on, and Zina Barasqallah, and so on. So Professor Beha Gerbas is the first woman professor in 1998. She was also the first female head of department in 2002, and she was dealing with all pathologies, of course, but skull-based neurosurgery and particularly with acoustic schwannoma. And now she's working in private. Dr. Nadia Laha was the first woman elected in the board of Algerian Society in 2003, and it was 20 years after the creation of the Algerian Society, which was created in 1983. And she's working in Algiers at the hospital, academic hospital Lamine de Barine, and she's dealing with pediatric neurosurgery. I have to talk about me because I'm the first woman president of Algerian Society, 31 years after its creation, and I'm still now president. The current status of women in Algeria. I must say that maybe some of you will read the newsletter of WFNS, and unfortunately we wrote the paper before to redo our statistics, because we have discovered that there was a lack of updating in some data of the Ministry of Health. So we have done the job, and you will read in the newsletter of WFNS that Algerian women are near 25%, but we were surprised by the results of the statistics. And so now we have a total number of 408 neurosurgeons. 182 are in departments with program of training. I must say that we have one program, national program, which is given in these 19 departments. 3 among them are military. So our residents have to do 5 years of residency in neurosurgery, but they have the same program in all the region of Algeria. And so you can see that women certified neurosurgeons, the number is 135 neurosurgeons. So the rate of win is 33%. It means that the job in neurosurgery, 1/3 of the job in neurosurgery is done by women. We have also looked at the number of residents in neurosurgery for this university year. And for the first year to the 5 year, we have a total of 210 residents, and with 13 residents. So it means that the majority, a slight majority of the residents are women. So women in our country are involved in all the subspecialties, general, spine, functional, pediatric, endoscopy, and so on. Just a few words about some women in our country. Among the 5 biggest departments in the country, 2 of them are headed by women. Professor Lila Mahfouf, who is now the head of department of the specialized hospital Salim Zmirli in Algiers. And she is currently the reference surgeon in the country for spasticity, of course, with Professor Abdenbi Ben Isa, who is very well known and who is acting now in private, and myself at the hospital Aitidir in Algiers. I want also to talk about Dr. Samira Khailia, who is working in military hospital in Oran, which is down at the west of Algiers at near 500 kilometers. And I must say that she is one of the reference spinal neurosurgeons in our country. Also for pediatric neurosurgery, my team, Nabila, who is very, very well known now, and she is currently the first president of the Algerian Society of Neurosurgery. As you can see, she is doing a great job in the field of the society. She is always the coordinator of all the webinars, but she is always doing a very big job with pediatrics. And now she is finishing a very wonderful job about myelomeningocele, and I'm sure that the result will be published and have a great impact. Also, Wasila Khudir, who is younger than her and dealing with her with pediatrics. And I must say that currently they are dealing with the greatest number of pediatric patients in the country. Another neurosurgeon, Professor Houria Bekralas, who is working in the field of oncology. She has the largest personal series of glioblastoma in the country, and also idiopathic intracranial hypertension. So we have tried many times when I present women in neurosurgery in Algeria, we are always looking why we have such rate of neurosurgeons. I don't know if we can have a true explanation, a definite explanation, but what is sure is that at the independence, education of girls was very encouraged. And also everybody was welcome to build the country. What is important to know currently is women graduate from university for all diploma constitute 63% currently. And furthermore, women graduate in sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics represent 54%. Which is also important to say that in our country, men and women in all the fields have the same retribution. There is no difference in the salary regarding the gender. Another thing also is all the specialists, if you are dermatologist, if you are neurosurgeon, if you are ophthalmologist, you have the same salary. So women don't embrace a career of neurosurgeon for money. But I think that the most credible explanation is the system of resident recruitment, because the system is based only on results at the exam. And for example, our residents, if they have the point, they can get the place where they want to go. They don't have to give a CV. So maybe for some head of departments, it will be complicated to have their team, to create their team, but it has the advantage that it is give the opportunity, an equal opportunity between all the candidates, male or female. Of course, not everything is not, as we say in French, la vie n'est pas toujours en rose. It is not always in pink. We live in, I said, we are Maghrebian, and it means that we have several cultures. We have first Berberian culture, Arabo-Islamic culture, African culture, and Mediterranean cultures. And when you look at all this, that all of them represent patriarchal society. So it was said by Svetlana, women in our country also are considered, first of all, as caregivers. They have to take care about their spouses, children, and also parents. And the problem is some of women, and I think many of them feel guilty to neglect their family when they embrace a career as neurosurgery. Another problem also is job mobility. For example, when a resident will finish her training in Algiers, for example, and she lives in Algiers, it will be very difficult for her to move outside this town, because maybe parents will give their will not be agree with that. Maybe it will be complicated to conceal the life with the husband. So the job mobility can be a hurdle for many neurosurgeons. Harassment, but I think it's very, very rarely done. But the problem is that some head of departments are still afraid about the problems with women, the pregnancy, the children, but this is also true for all countries in the world. What is also important to say is that in spite of the high rate of neurosurgeons, very few are in chief position. And this is the same in the general population, since women are in chief position only in 5%. Of course, with that, we lack in female mentorship. And the most important, and I said that always during my presentations, is that a lot of women in neurosurgery in Algeria don't trust in themselves. And I must say also that in our country, laws are not against women. The problem is mainly in stereotypes of the society. It's not religion, it's mainly traditions and stereotypes. So the next step is to participate in the emancipation of women in the country. Of course, when we participate in this emancipation, we will fight for gender equality. So we have to do our job for education of girls. We can do that during our outpatient control. I do that always with my little patients. When I have girls, I encourage them to continue their education. Of course, to promote neurosurgery among young medical female students, as said Nelsie in her presentation. And we should be beside young residents and make them confident in themselves. It is very important. We have also to encourage women to make more publications and presentation. And of course, all this will lead to an increase of number of women in chief position. So as I say, always practice of neurosurgery is a matter of patient and not of a gender. I want to dedicate this presentation to Professor Khaira Bouadda, who left us very, very soon. She dedicated all her life for neurosurgery. She was always in the hospital. She did a very, very wonderful job, but unfortunately, she died so soon. And I want to thank persons in my life who supported me. First of all, my mother, Bea, was my best supporter, and she left me so soon. And really, she missed me. And also my husband, Abdenor, and my daughter, Baya Lilia. They are always beside me. And when in moment of doubt, they are always encouraging me. And I think if I didn't have this family, I couldn't achieve what I am achieving. And thank you for your attention.
Excellent. Maybe Teresa, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
For this wonderful, nice, fantastic talk, because you point pointed out many barriers to women in neurosurgery, not only in the Africa, and especially North Africa. It's more closer than Europe or USA, but in around the world. Teresa, may I ask you to have a comment? Or sorry, the connection is not.
Listen me or not, Professor. It is very beautiful presentation, and I think that the women don't believe in themselves, not only in Algeria but also in Italy. I read that the women tend to experience imposter syndrome, that is a persistent fearing of impropriety. So I think that is a common idea of everybody. And what Professor tell about the key tactics to solve this problem are very important. It's important for me that I am a young neurosurgeon to have a mentoring network, a family mentoring work, just for an example for us. So it's important to promote a faculty diversity and a women recruitment to all positions. That is very important for us.
Thank you, Teresa. Maybe before opening the discussion, our friend Martina, she apologized for leaving us precipitately because of major well-being. So we have with us many, some men, and I promise of one of our friends to have the first word before starting our discussion. So I may ask Professor Kherdin to give us one word, please. Kherdin.
Micro.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, great.
It was a very nice webinar. Thank you. And as usually, I am very pleased to be with you. Every time when I meet you in Congress, every time a very great pleasure for me. Thank you for the very nice webinar, very nice presentation. So you show us some pictures in our heart. Thank you very much for the story of Algerian neurosurgery.
I just want to precise to my colleagues, the invited speakers, that Professor Bouyousef is one of the great supporters of WIN in Algeria. In his department, all the residents are women now. So, and he has a lot of women collaborators. Really, he's a big supporter of WIN. Thank you for that, Professor Bouyousef. Thank you.
Why I give
when you want when you want.
Thank you.
When you want that the job will be done
by women.
If you want that the job will be done good, give it to the women.
Thank you. Thank
they
you
are
so
very
much.
precise, very.
Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
coming from you, it's a very great honor, and we are very thankful. So we can start our discussion. Maybe if there is any questions or any comments from the audience, from the speakers. Just I have to say that we have a great, we have amazing talks around the world, from different continents, as Suad said. She do very wonderful job, because she choosing the speakers, it's easy, but to having them among us from different continents is not easy job. And congratulations and thanks for that. So if there is I don't want to monopolize all the, the audience, but if there is any question, any comments before, please don't hesitate to enter.
Congratulations, Sawad. Excellent lecture, excellent organization. Proud to be your friend, and congratulations for your leadership. Nadia and Teresa, well done. Excellent moderation. We are here try to answer if there is some questions. And wonderful lectures, excellent speakers. Congratulations also for the choice and for them to give us the time and the knowledge.
Thank you, Nelsie. It's
Nelsie, what I want to say is, first of all, most of the speakers and moderators are members of the WIN WFNS committee. So I think that only Martina Stiepler, who is not member, but everybody are member of the WIN committee. So I'm very proud to have you as members in this committee. And I must say to you, Nelsie, I don't know where you are getting this energy to do the job that you are doing with these old networks, with Latino America, with women in the world. And thank you so much for creating this WhatsApp group, because our young colleagues are really very happy now because they have information in life, they have the opportunities of fellowship or scholarships and things like this. So really, wonderful, this energy, and I hope you will have it for a very long time.
Hope so. Thank you, dear.
I just want also to talk with Svetlana. Yes, really, it seems that women have many problems in your country. So we have problems, but not the problems, as you said, to be a doctor. Really, I didn't know that about some European countries. I know that, but I didn't know that it was at this point in some European countries.
Oh, thank you about your question, because of course we are a patriarchal country, but we have another problem. For one man, we have 3 women. And all women think first, I want to have a child. Yeah. And it's all time they think about how to find the man, because one man, 3 or 4 women find the family, and it's first choice of the life. Second choice, how to get a money or salary, and be in a neurosurgeon very long period, how to learn and how to get money. And if they get that status like a neurosurgeon, they think maybe I will have a 40 years or 35, where I can find my man, where I can find my family. And it's like a first thing for young students, how to find a man and how to get a baby, because one child is really good in Ukraine, because near the 35 we have a lot of women who don't have any child and divorce or never get married. It's really a big problem in Ukraine.
Can I do a comment, Sawad or Nadia?
Yeah, of course, feel free.
It's very important her to show up and to talk about the subject. We are in Latin America, we have a patriarchal society too, but to talk about the subject is almost not polite, and the situation usually are underneath, and some of colleagues just give up the surgical specialty for the difficulty in the relationship and try to lower the colleague for don't get the position. Fortunately, in the last decade, we are improving a lot. Did you are hearing some noise?
Yes.
Okay, I just finish here.
Okay, it's okay now. Micro, Nelsie, please.
Yeah.
And the second, pede se ele pode parar 2 segundos. And the second is about maternity.
Yes.
We just do the question for the Brazilians. It was doing the certification to be a neurosurgeon. Most of them was between 30 to 35 years old. And when you put the question, do you like to be a mother? Yes, they would like to have a baby. We know it's not necessary to be a mother if you don't want, but if you want, you need to consider this option and think what need to be done. For example, I don't know, you can frozen your seeds, I don't know, but there is options. It's important to talk about the situation for don't arrive on 40 and 50 and feel uncomfortable with your choice. I think it's important, doesn't matter what big is your dream. The most important is we can make the dream come true. We have the tools, but it's important to have knowledge, what possibility, what strategy we can bring on the table to do our choices. For example, if in Ukraine we can't have all the stuff, we have other continents, we have other countries. Maybe we can think about. For example, we are maybe more neurosurgeons that we need in the next 10 years here in Brazil, but we know several countries in Africa that there is only one for 5 million people. We just need to open mind and to see what is necessary for the human being to dream and to transform the dream into reality. And thank you very much, Svetlana, to show up this. We perceive these small stuffs when we receive the answer for the win in Latin America. Maybe less than 5% talk about the subject, but we know for the practical life that is much more than this, maybe 10 times more than we talk about. But it's hard for us too.
Thank you for understanding.
Thank you, Nelsie.
Nadia, maybe we can ask Teresa about the feelings of the young generation.
Yes, please.
Teresa, could you give us the feelings of the young generation?
Yes, I told before, we feel a tension between a woman can have its whole movement and a realistic view of us as a mother, as a partner, as an employer, as a leader. And many of us, me too, have a fever of a pregnancy because we think that it can affect negatively our career. So it's true. For us, the pregnancy is not feeling a good way. And just the family. When you show us the image of your family, for me is very the great impact because I see a woman that is mother, that is a partner, that is neurosurgeon, and for me now is impossible in this condition.
Thank you, Teresa, but I am sorry, but I am totally disagree with you because, you know, my friends, Sued, as usually said one phrase that I adore it. It's don't be superwoman, be yourself. Don't be guilty. Be yourself. Don't be guilty if you choose this specialty. But you know, men also have their problems. We have, of course, pregnancy. It's 2 or 4 months. But when we have a child, we don't have it alone. We have it as a couple. So we didn't have enough to sleep, enough to time. So it's not, for me, it's not, I have a child, of course. I have it when I was, before I was professor, professor. So it was hard, so sure, but we need in this field. We need the leaders and mentorship. Leaders, as in every country, is mandatory to to open the way for the young generation. And in Europe, I think it's different, because in the country of Svetlana, of course, Ukraine is very different, because as she said, when in the ex-USSR is different from the other country of Europe, for example. But the quality of life of people, not only women, but all the people around the world, is now the priority for all the people. So I think we have many problems, both problems for men and women. The cultural environment is very important, sure. As of course Nelsie said, when we have more female in some countries, some continent, we need as women to exchange, to maybe move from country to others country, and have maybe you will meet your husband, or you're in Morocco, in Brazil, Teresa, or it's very important to change between us. And this is why I thanks a lot our friend Nelsie to start this WhatsApp group, and it's really very fantastic. She did a very fantastic job, not only to sharing opinions about women in neurosurgery, but only she shared a lot of books, and I appreciate very much that, and all the young women of neurosurgery, and not only women, but also men, because we share all the what we receive with our team. So I think it's very important to continue to promote neurosurgery among female, and this is the right way to have more and more, of course, neurosurgeon in our specialty. Even if, as all of you said, that in the fields of medical we have more and more female, but it's our goal, it's our duty to encourage them and give them our example to follow us. Sorry. Thank you.
Teresa, I understand you very well, because I was thinking like you are thinking now, 20 years ago. And I can tell you, took time to change my mind. It was my husband that encouraged me to have a kids, because I was with the certitude that it was impossible to have a good career and to take care of family. It was in my mind too. And on this question, there is Rebecca Perez Alfayate that agree 100% with you. But I can tell you, we have in Brazil 3 examples to encourage you to change your mind with time. Tatiana Vilas Boas have 2 children. One of them, he was operating a neurosurgical case during his training, as he just jumped in another room to have a baby, something like that. He couldn't, yes, he could deal with. I know it's not the normal way to have, but we have Diana example, is a young neurosurgeon, have twins. We have Rita Delgado, is a very senior neurosurgeon. She have triplets, and she raised a child doing neurosurgery. Yes, we need extra work, but if this is in your desire, sure, you can do both and be happy with your choice. You don't need, may I have my 2 minutes, Nadia, or is 2?
No, of course, but we have with us one of mail that she insists to have the
okay,
word.
please.
But after you.
After you.
Nancy, finish your.
I was in Harvard during a research meeting, and some very beautiful women, surgeon, from not neurosurgeon, general surgeon from Colombia, asked for the two young professors, brilliant, intelligent, and how I can do the choice. I would like to have a family and be a surgeon. Both of them, leaders, tell them you need to choose. You can do both. And I raised my hands, they couldn't see. I raised my body and I stand my hands. I disagree, Professor. No, we can't tell to this young, beautiful surgeon that she needs to do a choice now. I can tell you, the end of this course, they ask one question: who speaks some word that change your life forever? It was my words. It was the end of scientific course. And it's important to show up, and the limits are in our hands. Don't put the limits to other beliefs in your hands. Create your own belief. You are the senior. Doesn't matter if you are man or woman. You are a human being. You need to dream, and your dream come true if you believe. You work on it, you perseverate, you still working, keep going, keep running, and you'll be there.
Cool. Thank you, Nancy, for this wise advice. And in the same note, optimistic note, I will give the word to our friend from Morocco, Professor El Azhari. Please, Abd Samad.
Thank you, Najia. Congratulations, ladies and madam. Really, as head of department for many years, and still now, I have women in my department. Now, you show us, so you bring us at your home, and we know more your difficulties. It's very important for us to understand what you are living. And believe me, when I see my resident, my female resident, I consider them as a male, but in their mind, they are thinking about home, about children, more than a male. So thank you to show us one face of your problems. But I think, as my friend Khairuddin said, the job is well done by women. I always tell it to my colleagues and to Najia and to but I'm sure, because there is this maternal instinct to do some things well, so they are always going to do some things well. Suad, thank you for your presentation, because you are making a project. In this project, I think there is one thing you are discussing since one moment. And I understand what Dr. Teresa and Dr. Svetlana said. Dr. Svetlana said that there are a lot of problem with the department, because women don't trust on themselves. And in your projects, to add, I think you can perhaps add some things is how to select, no, not to select, how to choose women going to neurosurgery. Is there some criteria? Because in your webinar, I said that someone of you, that it's very hard and it's impossible. And if there is some criteria, perhaps to make advice for this woman going to neurosurgery, I think it will be very helpful for them. I don't know if you understand me, Suad, but your project, you said now we are it's the big rate of women in neurosurgery in Algeria. I think you are the first country which the rate is more than 33%. It's really very important rate. So there is a lot of study you can do in this way. And thank you, ladies and madam. It was really very interesting. Really, for me, I learned some things, how to treat my female resident, because I have to have in my mind that they have home different from mine. Thank you, Suad.
Thank you. But just one answer. I'm not agree with you about selection. As I said, I'm not agree. If we have to make selection, we should make selection for everybody. Okay. So I think that the selection which is currently in my country is better because it is based only on results or for exam. And if we talk about selection, we are talking about also discrimination. It's a kind of, I know that you are not against women. I know you very well, Professor Azhari. But if we make selection, it means discrimination. And as I said at the end of my talk, neurosurgery is not a matter of gender, it's a matter of patient. And I think if we will have male resident and female resident passionate by their work, by their job, by neurosurgery, they will be all good neurosurgeons. If you have a male who is not passionate, he will not be a good neurosurgeon, Professor Azhari. So I think that we shouldn't talk about selection. Maybe selection about the patient and the love of the job, maybe for everybody, maybe.
Sorry, it's not selection, it's condition.
Oh, yeah.
I think you don't.
Is the same.
No. When you,
Suad,
when you want to choose the athlete, you have to. They will have a criteria to support the sport. You know, I don't know if you understand me, but some criteria, so not selection.
Yeah. I totally agree 100% with Suad, and I understand what our friend Absamad said. He would to say that what's the criteria, not whatever the gender, not only for women, but this section. I think you would like to say encourage women to embrace our sexuality.
Exactly.
Yes, of course.
When you embrace the speciality, and then there is a selection, whatever the gender. It's and we know that female. I'm again come back to the leadership and mentorship is very important. I can just tell you about my own experience. When I started in 1985, it was very hard. When it's my first, when I start in department of neurosurgery, all the men was very happy. Wow, we have a woman. She's beautiful, and when I came back after my 6 months, the situation was very different. They sent me, wow, you want really to be a neurosurgeon? And I said, yes. You encouraged me the last six months. Why? What happened now? And then I know that it was very difficult for me for the 4 years when I spent my fourth beginning years, but. Honestly, with the patient also was difficult sometimes. I remember that there is one patient who refused to be operated by myself. It's with pituitary adenoma, and I was the only one referent in my department as pituitary adenoma surgeons. So, but now, believe me, many years ago, I don't feel any difference between me and others colleagues male. in not only in my country or only in my continent, but around the world. As Nelsie, Suad, our the oldest in this session, this webinar, and we will we was everywhere in the world and give many lectures. We didn't feel that we are female, aren't you? Please, ladies, can you?
Okay.
Nadia, excuse me. I just to interrupt you because we have it's not orthodox, but we have a male colleague here in the audience who want to say a word, but I don't have his name because it is mentioned DS 2020. So please,
yeah, it's me.
Can you
Yeah, it's me. Do you hear me? Hello, everyone. My name is Domenico Solari. I'm from Naples, like Teresa Somma. And I'm listening like this nice conversation, and I have to congratulate all of you. And I cannot agree with any one of you girls, otherwise there will be a serious fight. But I would like to give my points of view. I'm with Teresa working every day. And I have to say that the fear that she expressed, maybe it is not a matter of gender, it is a matter of age. Because every one of us, like trying to thrive during neurosurgery, that is very, very difficult as compared to any other specialty, it is tough. I'm already 40 and I skipped to have a baby up to last year because of the same fear of Teresa. So I would like to invite everyone like to get out of this matter of gender. I think it's a matter of our specialty. And I do agree with Professor Swat Bhakti when she said that you have to be patient and you have to love your specialty. This is the only thing that can lead you to excel in every kind of work, and especially in neurosurgery, because I know that, I don't know, like for other countries, but in Italy, you start to have your activity, not private practice or like well-renowned practice, when you are almost 50, because you feel safe inside you have your audience of patients, but you are already 50. And somehow you left behind something. You left behind the books, you left behind the football team, and whatever it comes along with it. So for me, like it is not a matter of gender. I'm in a department that is full of females, and Teresa is my chief. When Teresa is inside the OR, I cannot touch anything. I have only like to obey. I have to say, thanks, Teresa, for having me here. And she knows. But it's a joke. And she does with me exactly the same when she's not in the surgery that I'm interested with. So I know that all of you like agree there is no gender difficulties. Every one of us like brought in each experience, but it's time to go out of this. I'm female, I'm male, I will do this because I'm male, I will not do this because I'm female.
Thank you for this testimony. Thank you very much. And Teresa, you are lucky. You have just to go.
Thank you to all of you. But
thank you. So I think
very lucky.
Like to add something because I see him. Absamad, you want to say something?
No, no.
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
No. Okay.
If there is another comment or questions or whatever. If not, we can maybe
Bye-bye.
end our webinar, and
Thank you.
of course our friend the Suad, she will give the last word. Thank you very much for all the speakers, for the attendees, and for this wonderful and great discussion. Thank you, Suad.
So thank you to all the speakers, the moderators, and also the participants. You know, this afternoon we have a serious concurrent with webinars, because there was the webinar of Professor Yazargil of microneurosurgery at the same time. But in spite of that, we've had many attendees, and from several countries, from everywhere in the world, Latin America, from Brazil, Uruguay, Ukraine, Italy, Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, also from Philippines, India, Turkey, so from many countries. So thank you to all of you. This webinar was not possible to organize without your presentation, without your experiences. And I hope that we will have many lessons from the different presentations that have been given today and the discussion to try to improve. But I just want to say something to Domenico. Of course, what you say, I'm okay, but you have also to don't forget that we are living in a very big world where the societies are very different. And so the problem of women is not only in neurosurgery, but is in every field and every profession. And we have to promote women, and we have to achieve equality in all the fields of life, in all the jobs. This is also the purpose of women in neurosurgery, okay? So thank you to all of you. I'm very honored by your presence, and see you next webinar of the Algerian Society of Neurosurgery. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you, all of you.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Tiamo, comment ça va?
Moi, je vais bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va, ça va.
Alhamdoulilah.
D'être avec nous ce soir, cet après-midi, passer l'après-midi au lieu d'aller à la plage.
Non.
Il est toujours avec nous, monsieur Amou.
Je suis là, je resterai là.
Ah, il est toujours avec nous, il est toujours avec les webinaires de la neurochirurgie, de la Société algérienne de neurochirurgie.
C'est adorable.
Il est avec
C'est un plaisir.
Et c'est le mec.
Neurochirurgien, mais il est surtout avec les neurochirurgiennes. Allez,
arrête, Najia, je suis avec
tout à
le
fait
monde,
d'accord avec lui.
Heureusement que tu es là, heureusement que tu es là.
Le 3, vous êtes 3 héros. Alors, il y a le troisième qui n'a pas voulu prendre la parole, même si j'ai pitié.
T'es où?
Il est là, il est connecté. Hein.
Non, ça y est, je crois qu'il est parti. Mais il a écrit.
Mets ton micro, Haved, mets ton micro.
Non, je crois pas, je crois qu'il est parti.
Mais il est resté jusqu'à pratiquement la fin.
Oui, il était là, on a chatté tous les deux.
S'il te plaît, tu ne veux pas intervenir, mais bon, tu sais, vous savez comment il est. Donc,
ouais.
Respecter. Non, mais c'était, franchement, c'était.
Les filles, bravo.
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 Très bien.
Intéressant dans la mesure.
Je pense qu'il n'y a pas à s'inquiéter pour les femmes en neurochirurgie, quel que soit le cas. Et leur place est là, ils vont l'occuper petit à petit. Si jusqu'à maintenant, il y a eu des problèmes, il y a de la place.
Il y a l'angoisse, l'appréhension des jeunes.
Oui.
Plus on prend de l'âge, on se rend compte que franchement, c'est vrai qu'il faut travailler, quel que soit notre sexe. Il n'y a pas de discrimination. Bah, c'est vrai que les premières, toujours, dans n'importe quel film, que ça soit
bien sûr.
C'est toujours, il faut.
Moi, je voulais faire un commentaire tout à l'heure, mais j'en ai pas eu la possibilité.
Non,
tu peux
pas m'en voir cette fois-ci, s'il te plaît. Hein.
Non, tu m'as eu à l'improviste.
Tu seras le premier commentateur. Hein.
Le commentaire que je voulais faire, c'est que c'est pas une histoire, comme vous l'avez très bien dit, c'est pas une histoire de sexe.
Mais bien sûr.
À mon avis, un facteur très important, c'est la santé. Parce qu'il y a des jeunes qui sont des garçons ou des filles,
oui, ça
pas de santé, et la neurochirurgie est une spécialité extrêmement éreintante, aussi bien sur le plan intellectuel que sur le plan physique. Donc, il faut des gens intelligents et en excellente santé. et qui en veulent. Voilà. L'âge et tout ça, le reste n'a rien à voir.
Bien, mon expérience dans l'histoire, les filles sont beaucoup plus résistantes, beaucoup plus conciliantes, beaucoup plus endurantes et beaucoup plus fines que les garçons.
Absolument.
Je suis désolé, mais c'est mon expérience.
Non, mais c'est vrai, c'est un mot. Et d'ailleurs,
c'est la mienne aussi.
On l'a tous vécu. Par exemple, nous au Maroc.
À la cinquième heure de microscope, il n'y en a pas beaucoup qui tiennent après. Hein.
Le nombre d'hommes qui ont abandonné en cours de route, j'en connais aucune des femmes. Hein, c'est un mot. Vous êtes bien d'accord?
Oui, je suis d'accord. Actuellement,
on a abandonné en cours de route. Par contre, on en connaît beaucoup qui ont abandonné des hommes. Bon, bah, c'est vrai que c'est relatif en pourcentage. Mais,
oui, bien sûr. Bien sûr.
La décision de faire neurochirurgie pour la femme, elle est mûrement réfléchie, je dirais, que plus que chez un homme. Hein, parce que...
Pour le choix des postes en résidence actuellement, les filles sont beaucoup refroidies par le dira-t-on. Avant de prendre une décision, elles sont refroidies.
Mais bien sûr.
Il faut peut-être les encourager et leur donner l'exemple, les amener petit à petit à se rendre compte que ce qu'on leur dit avant de s'engager n'a rien à voir avec la réalité.
Mais
actuellement, c'est ce qui se passe. J'en ai connu autour de mon fils récemment. Il y a beaucoup de filles qui se sont refroidies en cours de route.
Oui. Nous aussi, il y en a beaucoup aussi. Il y en a.
C'est pour ça que tout à l'heure, je parlais de leadership et de mentorship.
Exactement, il faut les aider.
Depuis que je suis revenue, enfin, je suis maintenant à l'université Bolcasses, tu sais qu'avec le fils de Céamou, il fait neurochirurgie, entre parenthèses, résident chez moi. Hein, c'est pour ça qu'il en parle. Il a commencé depuis...
Alors, ça doit être ton chouchou, alors.
Ah, le pauvre, je le martyrise.
Non, il faut l'engueuler, hein, il faut le tenir.
T'inquiète pas pour moi, je ne le ménage pas. Hein. En revanche, j'ai au moins 5 ou 6 internes qui veulent faire neurochirurgie. Et j'ai eu déjà une de mes premières résidentes était une femme. Parce que quand ils voient une femme qui fait de la neurochirurgie, je crois que ça leur donne un peu l'image réelle de ce que c'est.
Effectivement.
Bon,
et une femme qui a réussi, surtout.
C'est pour ça que j'ai insisté sur le leadership par rapport à nos collègues européennes qui, malgré tout ce qu'on veut, les Européennes, malheureusement, ne sont pas très nombreuses hein, dans n'importe quel pays, hein, n'est-ce pas, Foussouad?
Oui.
Ce n'est pas du tout une exception. Hein. C'est ce que je voulais tout à l'heure lui faire comprendre. L'Europe, de façon générale, les femmes en neurochirurgie sont très, très rares comparativement aux autres continents. Tu sais que dans les pays, en fait, les pays développés, ils ont moins de femmes en neurochirurgie que les pays sous-développés.
Ils sont plus maso que nous. Ils sont plus masochistes que nous.
Les Américaines, c'est la même chose. Tu as vu les Américaines, c'est la catastrophe avec tout ce qu'ils ont comme neurochirurgie.
Les pays développés, ils ont moins d'abord de taux de neurochirurgiens et puis ils ont plus de difficultés à accéder. Voilà, elle l'a dit, elle l'a montré. La première chef de service, même si la première femme neurochirurgienne était carrément de début du siècle, du XXe siècle, mais la première femme de neurochirurgie, c'est la Caruso, la neurochirurgienne pédiatre. Et c'était vers les années 2000, hein, seulement dans les années 2000. La femme n'a accédé à la tête d'une société américaine il y a 2 ans avec la Shelley Timmons.